Chapter 14. The floor was actually starting to surface from behind the dark black cloud of ink. Jennifer stood up and grabbed her laptop covered in ink off the table. "I will be back. I'm going down the street to see if the technology center can fix it," Jennifer explained. "What's wrong with it?" asked oblivious Samantha. "I do not know, but there could be something since it is covered in ink," replied Jennifer with slight sarcasm. "I see you want to see if it's okay or if it needs fix." "Yeah," said the publisher, showing Samantha understood her thoughts correctly. At that moment in the stables, both Lily and Crystal were saddled up and ready to get going. Kate walked over to where Crystal and Miss Sarah were standing. Then she helped Miss Sarah up onto Crystal. She then got up upon Lily. "We'll ride to town and ask if anyone has seen Tahra. Then we'll head out beyond the town when we likely will split up," explained Kate. "Sounds like a good plan to me," agreed Miss Sarah, knowing they hadn't many other options. At the speed of light, the horses were off, racing down the mountainside so they wouldn't waste too much time. The blue sky was beginning to fill up with dark clouds as they rode down the mountainside. "I sure hope it doesn't downpour on us," stated Miss Sarah, noticing the clouds. Kate glanced up, observing them for the first time, as before the trees had concealed the sky. The birds were all restless, chirping and fluttering about the sky. "The birds know a storm is coming," added Kate. "Yeah, animals are good at predicting the weather, especially birds. Always watch their actions, and if they are calm or unsettled, it will tell you a ton about the upcoming weather, just as the colors of the sunrise and sunset send messages to sailors." Back at Fly High Publishing, Jennifer returned. "I'm back," announced Jennifer, entering the room. "The laptop is completely ruined, unable to be fixed. The company understood it as an accident and said they'll replace it for no cost. Plus, they know me and know how much I love writing." "That's really generous of them to do that," claimed Samantha. "I'm glad that is taken care of. I mean, it's bad enough I destroyed all the printers and everything else down here." "He said don't worry about it. Accidents happen." "I know, but I still feel terrible." "Oh, and that isn't even the best part. I have more good news. The chip that had all of my files on was still good, and they copied all my files to a flash drive. If that chip wasn't saved, I would have lost all the books I've ever written. Sure, there are published ones at stores, but that would have taken forever to find them all. Plus, I had other documents on the computer. So, lesson learned, make sure I have at least 3 backups of each file somewhere." Just as Kate halted, a small, clear crystal raindrop landed on her nose. Then another drop landed on her hand. Miss Sarah was next to her to feel the rain droplets. The rain started picking up speed. A low rumble sounded, symbolizing a storm. The wind was blowing strong, adding to the coolness of the rain. Leaves blew everywhere, slapping them from all directions, and tiny branches were thrown from the limbs. Out of nowhere, it began to downpour. "We need to get out of this before it gets worse," declared Kate, a little worried as the sky fell even darker. The horses didn't hesitate and bolted off towards the mountains as quick as they could go. Kate knew storms could be bad, and they had to get back. But more than anything, she wanted to find Tahra, and unfortunately their time was cut short today. However, she knew she could not risk the safety of the horses, or herself, or her dear teacher. Besides, both horses were anxious, and clearly they did not like the storm and wanted to retreat to their stable. Back at the sea of paper, Tahra was still sitting on the sand reading the book to the creatures. All the fairies' magic was gone now. They had no way of secretly helping the people. "What are we going to do?" exclaimed Marigold, panicking. "That's all I'll read today. Otherwise I won't have a voice left," chuckled Tahra, closing the book. The creatures were all sitting on the edge of their seat. That is, if they were any seats. None of them wanted her to stop reading, but they understood she needed her voice. Tahra stood up and headed off to her castle. She figured a nice cup of cold water would soothe her throat and help it recover from all the speaking. The creatures didn't move and watched as she walked off. They all spoke at once, telling each other what they thought was going to happen next. Meanwhile, Kate and Miss Sarah made it to the foot of the mountains. At the very instant, a lightning bolt struck a nearby tree. The tree caught on fire, for it was dried out and fell to the ground. The horses reared up in fear. "Crystal, Lily, it's okay. We can go around," spoke Kate calmly. The horses settled down with their calm words. The wind picked up more and spread the fire in all directions and quickly. "What are we going to do?" cried Miss Sarah in panic. "You must remain calm. Getting worried only makes the horses panic more, and they're already terrified," snapped Kate. Sorry, I just don't know how to get past the flames, explained Miss Sarah with panic lingering in her voice. After pausing a moment to figure out the best way to get past the fire, Kate spoke sternly. The horses must jump over the burning tree. What? Are you nuts? You have to trust me. The horses have jumped over obstacles much higher than that tree. Yeah, but trust me, I know what I'm doing, and so do the horses. But what if I fall? Questioned Miss Sarah, still full of terror. Miss Sarah only ever rode a horse once before, and never had she jumped anything, not even a small stream. She was horrified. You won't. Now, we must jump. Lily and I will go first. Are you ready, Lily? Lily nodded, although she was scared of the lapping flames. They easily cleared the tree. There, you see how it is done? Now it is your turn, Miss Sarah. Okay, we can do this, Crystal, she declared, trying to convince herself. Crystal backed up and then galloped. The whole time Miss Sarah's heart was pounding rapidly. Crystal took the leap, forgetting her rider could only hold on with one hand. Miss Sarah's hand slipped off of the reins, and she started to fall off of Crystal's back. The mare immediately noticed. She jabbed her hoofs into the ground to bring herself to an immediate stop. Without a second loss, Crystal sprang to catch Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah landed perfectly in the saddle. However, Crystal had not been watching her own movements and placed her one hoof in the flames. Snapping back into the present, she felt the hot flames on her legs as it burned her. She leapt up in pain but slipped on a wet branch. Crystal's front leg plunged into the boiling flames, turning her beautiful white coat into black. Crystal! Kate shrieked in alarm. The mare stood up and got away from the devouring flames. The young girl noticed Crystal was only standing on 3 legs due to the burns, and it was obvious she was in great pain. Miss Sarah, I'm going to help you down. Kate was scared, though, of how to get her teacher down when she did not have the stool to aid her. Okay, Crystal noticed Kate could not find a solution, so she used all of her strength to kneel down lower to the ground without using her injured leg. Kate then was able to grab Miss Sarah's good hand and yank her down. Once Miss Sarah was safely on the ground, Kate stated her next part of the plan. Now I will help you up onto Lily. Then I will help Crystal walk home. She paused for a second to take a deep breath to keep herself calm. While all of this was happening in New York, the rooms were starting to look normal again. Samantha was quiet, not saying much, and let the guilt weigh slightly upon her. Jennifer reached over and placed her inky hand upon her friend's back. Then she wiped off her other hand on Samantha to try to lighten her up. Samantha chuckled and went to place her filthy hands on Jennifer. She chased her around the room and slipped on the ink. Across it she slid like water skiing, then crashed into the wall before falling on her butt. Jennifer teased, "Oh, Samantha, you were such a klutz." She joked back, "Am I?" "Definitely. That's enough for now. Let's get back to finding the sparkle in the room again." Samantha grinned and stumbled to her feet. At the same time, Tahra walked out of her castle and sat down on the sand. Nicole swam near the shore and invited, "Come swim with us, Tahra." She shook her head. "Sorry, I'm worn out. I'll come swimming with you and Snowflake first thing tomorrow," promised Tahra. "All right, since you're too tired to swim, we'll put on a show for you." "Oh, what a wonderful idea," agreed Tahra cheerfully. Other creatures nearby overheard, and their interest was captured. Some ran off to go tell their friends, and soon from all over the creatures emerged. They gathered around as Nicole made an announcement about the show, bringing even more creatures out from the jungle. They all gazed at the sea with grins enthusiastic to see a dolphin performance. Back on the Smoky Mountains, helicopters and airplanes were flying above the trees, dumping gallons of water on the flickering flames. It was no longer a small fire. Now a ton of trees were burning in flames. Kate could smell the stench of the smoke and feel the heat from the bright blazing flares. She could hear the splashing of water fighting to put out the fire. "Look out!" called Carabella out of nowhere. Kate and Crystal leapt out of the way of a falling burning branch. "Thanks, Carabella. What are you doing over here?" inquired Kate, wondering where she came from. She barely recognized her mountain friend with her long hair twisted up into a tight bun held by 2 sticks, which was to keep it out of the way. "The animals told me there was a fire, so I came to help. As I see it, I have to protect my home and theirs. The flames are going to put up a tough fight, but we can defeat them. Up ahead, a few burning trees block your path. Follow me, I'll get you safely back to your house. Then we must get Crystal to my cave so I can see if she is all right." Kate could tell Carabella would defend the mountains no matter the cost, and she knew she planned to help all the creatures safely escape the fire and get the ones hurt back to her cave. It was going to be her hardest and biggest task yet. Carabella knew the risk she would be taking, but she didn't care if she got burned. It was the animals that mattered to her. They weren't just animals. To her, they were a family. Save time. Let's go straight to your cave, Kate declared. All right. I'm shocked this downpour hasn't put out the fire, claimed Kate loudly to be heard through the pounding rain. I know, it is a little weird, agreed Carabella. She seemed calm, but really she was terrified about all the animals, seeing how fast it was spreading. She was about to cry, seeing her beloved home being burned to the ground in only minutes. She knew she had to fight for her creatures and protect them. The air had become thick from all the smoke polluting the fresh mountain air. When they neared any flames, they would have to hold their breath so they wouldn't take in the smoke. The smoke made their eyes water, and it was hard to hurry about. The rain falling from the sky was cold, and Sarah was shaking from the damp rain. Carabella and Kate were carefully leading Crystal through the woods, avoiding the fire as much as they could. While all of this was happening, at the Sea of Paper, the birds were assisting with the show by handling the music. Tahra and the other animals were enjoying the beautiful, pure melody, along with a lovely show. Tahra and all the other creatures were watching, having a lot of fun. It was an amazing show. It was amazing to see the whole island come together to add a special effect with the performance. The mammals casted a light so that it acted as a spotlight, but did not blind those observing the act. It was really a team effort getting it so perfect. It was so well timed that it seemed all the creatures had been rehearsing the performance for months, but clearly that was not so, which made it that much more incredible. On the burning mountains, Carabella walked at a quick pace and took her little shortcuts she had formed over time. She wanted so badly to run so she could get back to saving the rest of her world and friends, but she knew Crystal couldn't run. Okay, here we are at my cave. Let's take a look at Crystal's leg, she explained. Carabella angled Crystal's leg so that the sunlight, or at least the light there was since the sky was so cluttered, shone perfectly on it. Well, it's only a minor burn, so all we have to do is put a special cream on it until it heals. Here, put this on every morning and night. Avoid using her leg the next few days until it gets better, instructed Carabella, handing Kate a cream made from the natural herbs and saps. All right, I will do that. Thank you so much for your help, Carabella, replied Kate. No problem, it's what I do. I'll come by in a few days to check on her leg. Sounds good to me. See you later and be careful. As soon as Kate walked away from the cave, Carabella took off running through the woods as fast as a cheetah. Fear was pounding through every ounce of her. She hadn't been this scared since she was 8 when she realized she was lost in these mountains. Now her biggest fear was losing the ones she loved, the ones that had taken care of her for years. The creatures who were always there, keeping her safe, and the ones that taught her so much. Now she feared some of them she would never see again, and she would be too late. She had to save them, as they had saved her. Carabella ran faster than she had ever run before, each step feeling more like 1,000,000 miles, taking her 1,000 years to reach. She barely noticed her surroundings. She was listening for any cries for help. While she was scanning every inch, she ran looking to help creatures. She was running closer and closer to the mother fire, but she was safe here. Only a few trees were on fire near her. She tripped over a rock and tumbled to the ground. She looked up in time to see a falling branch engulfed in flames. Carabella knew she had to get out of the way. She sprang up, but she hadn't enough time before the falling branch fell and scraped down her leg like a wild animal clawing at her. She knew it was only a minor burn, but it hurt really badly. Adding to her pain was a large gash in her leg. She wanted to stay there and not move, but Carabella knew she had to get up to save her beloved friends. A large gray wolf approached Carabella, and she knew she was hurt. Carabella recognized her friend Wolfina at once, as she used to live in the cave with her. She had been a guardian for Carabella since she was very little, and now here she was again to save the day. If any creature in these mountains felt most like family, it was Wolfina. She was like a mother to Carabella, and would do anything to make sure she was all right. Carabella wondered how she always knew when she needed her. "Are you all right?" Wolfina asked Carabella. Although Wolfina couldn't speak like humans, Carabella had learned to speak to animals and could understand them as good as humans. "Yes, I'm all right." Carabella paused to look down at her leg and continued, "except for the minor burn and scrape on my leg." Wolfina followed Carabella's eyes and saw her scratched-up leg. She could see a lot of blood running down her leg from where the branch had torn her skin. "I'll be right back. Do not move an inch," ordered Wolfina, and Carabella nodded. Only a minute passed before Wolfina returned carrying leaves, 2 pieces of bark, and a few vines. She placed them on the ground in front of Carabella and began at once. Wolfina gently put the leaves on Carabella's leg, covering every injured spot. Then with Carabella's help, she put the bark on either side of her calf and tied the bark together with the vines. It would act as a brace and help Carabella with her leg. That was how the mountain creatures made braces, which was Carabella's idea when she was younger. She had learned how to make the splint from her days as a Girl Scout and applied her knowledge to the creatures of the forest. Wolfina knew Carabella's leg really hurt, and she could tell by the look in Carabella's face, so Wolfina grabbed 2 large branches that had fallen and handed them to Carabella to help her walk like crutches. Then Wolfina helped Carabella up and stayed by her side as she walked. At the sea of paper, the dolphins seemed to be glowing as the sun shone brightly behind them. The golden rays streaked the water, making every ripple visible. A light pink and purple mixed with the blue sky and white puffy clouds made the perfect background. It was gorgeous, but all the creatures, including Tahra, had to shade their eyes from the blinding sun. Nicole and Snowflake worked together to create an extremely awesome trick for their finale. Then they swam over to the shallow. "That was our show. Did you like it?" inquired Snowflake, anxiously wanting to know what everyone had thought about it, especially since it was her first show ever. "Well, no. I loved it," replied Tahra with a large smile, and the other creatures nodded and applauded. Meanwhile, back in Glowing Springs on the mountains, Kate was in her room looking out her window from her second floor in the house. She could see the bright blaze off in the distance and the smoke in the air. The normally quiet mountains were consumed by the sound of helicopters and airplanes dumping gallons of water on the flames below. Kate wondered if there was anything she could do to help, but she figured it would be too dangerous to leave the safety of her own home. "But without my help, the flames may get worse and spread all the way here and catch our house on fire," thought Kate to herself. Thinking over that, she decided she would go help. Kate ran outside with her raincoat on, for the rain had not stopped yet, nor showed any signs of stopping. Miss Sarah was still in the stable, drying Crystal. "Hello, Kate," greeted Miss Sarah. Kate didn't respond. She only flashed a smile. She opened Lily's gate and entered. She was worried about time, so she decided to ride bareback on Lily. She tossed the reins on and sprang on her. "Come on, we have to hurry," called Kate to Lily. She and her horse were off at the speed of light. Miss Sarah and Crystal looked confusedly at each other. Then Miss Sarah continued drying the mare, ignoring her student. Kate rode over to a firefighter near where everything was occurring. "Excuse me, sir. How may I help?" demanded Kate politely. The firefighter turned to face her. "This is a very dangerous job, my dear, but we appreciate your courage and willingness to help. We wouldn't want you getting hurt." "We can let this young lass help," cut in another firefighter coming over. Kate smiled warmly, glad to know she had a part in helping. "How may I help?" asked Kate excitedly. "Well, you can help our Chief Marietta chart the flames, for you will be safe with her." "Where is she?" "In that helicopter," responded the firefighter, pointing directly above them. The firefighter unclipped a walkie-talkie from his belt. "Firefighter 13 into Marietta." "Go ahead," Marietta replied. "Lower the ladder. We have someone down here that would like to help you." "Wonderful. Over and out." "Where should I put my horse?" sought Kate. "Over at that tree. No flames are near there, and if any come near, I will relocate your horse to a safe place," replied Firefighter 13, pointing to a tree far from any flames. Once Kate tied up Lily, she climbed up the wooden ladder. She slipped at one spot, but quickly regained her grip. Kate was almost up when someone, she assumed was Marietta, pulled her up into the helicopter. "Greetings, I'm Marietta. Who are you?" the young lady asked, but sort of trailed off as she gazed into the child's eyes, as if noticing something, almost as if she knew her. "I am Kate. Pleasure to meet you," Kate responded cheerfully. The chief didn't acknowledge what she said and stared at her for a long moment, but then quickly turned away. The gleam of the fire seemed to shimmer off of a crystal tear that slid down her soft cheek, but it was gone before anyone could have noticed. Marietta has red hair. With the glow of the flames, her hair nearly blended in. Kate could see she wasn't that old, perhaps around 24. Kate breathed out. She seemed so amazing and everything else. In a way, she thought this lady could be a fairy princess. But even if she wasn't, she was very much drawn to her. Marietta walked to the back of the helicopter, followed by Kate. The back was like a mini station or office. There was a bed that someone could rest on, and there was a small desk. On the desk sat a computer monitor with a notebook and pen sitting close by. Here is how the charting works. The map on the computer is a map of the mountains. I can see every time the flame grows bigger or moves even the slightest bit. Then I must write it down in my notebook so I can report the details to those that may need it, such as newspaper reporters. Finally, I must tell the firefighters below by using the radio communication, which is linked to their walkie-talkies. Marietta then continued to the pilot to tell him something. Marietta, the flames are spreading, called Kate in alarm. Okay, thanks, Kathleen. It's just Kate. The chief glanced at the little one but didn't comment. The way she was acting was as if she knew something more that she was refusing to say. Snapping back into focus, Marietta rushed to the back. For a few seconds she studied the screen. Then she picked up her pen and notebook. She began to write quickly while glancing up here and there. Kate took notice that Marietta was left-handed as she was writing. Once she finished writing, Marietta looked up at Kate. If you would like to help, you can read what I just wrote over the communication device. Begin here, she informed, pointing to a place on the page. Okay, how do I address it? Inquired Kate, not wanting to mess it up. Your choice. Attention all firefighters. The southwest flame is now moving towards the north. Also, the north flame is spreading further east and west. Well done, praised Marietta, impressed. Kate beamed. She cherished having an outstanding leader's approver, and it really touched her heart. Marietta, I noticed you are left-handed like my sister, mumbled Kate with sadness in her voice, even though she tried to hide her sorrow, but it was impossible. Why did you say your sister so gloomy? Well, you see, a week ago she disappeared. We can't find her anywhere. Well, Kate, you are in luck. You see, I'm not fighting the blazing fire, for I'm not a firefighter. You're not? Exclaimed Kate, shocked. Nope. I am the chief of police officers. Then why are you here? You see, it is my duty to record this data. Also, they needed another helper. I always do this when there is a forest fire, not house fires, though. Images flashed in Kate's mind, and she pictured Tahra sitting in an armchair reading her a story. She remembered a description of scarlet hair that flowed long down the back of the most famous police chief there was. Wait a minute. If you are a police chief, you must be the legendary Marietta Jones. Yes, but how do you know that? She asked as she blushed a little. My sister loves reading, me too, but since I can't read well, she reads to me. The one time she had to do a biography for school, and she chose you. She told me all about you. It fascinated her to hear how inspiring she was to some young children and really made her feel happy. But she had to remain on topic. So anyway, tell me a few things about your sister. Before Kate began, Marietta pulled out another notebook. What is her full name? Tahra Shinestrong. An interesting name, Marietta commented. Indeed, it's like mine is Kate Holdstrong. Oh, next question. How old is she? 13, soon to be 14. For a while now, Tahra and the animals had been watching the sunset. Well, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed, informed Tahra. Okay, but one more thing first, replied Lacey. All the animals began to sing a lullaby Tahra never heard before, and it went like this. When the sun sets over the sea of paper, the stars come out and fill the sky. The moon will rise to join them too. That is when you know you must go to sleep. Sleep will prepare you for the next day's adventure, so now you must rest your eyes and sleep. 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 Wow, that's a really pretty song, claimed Tahra, amazed. Thanks. It's the song we always sing every night, replied Lacey. Tahra was extremely confused given the fact none of the creatures were alive before this morning. So how could the crazy monkeys say they sang it every evening? She cleared it from her mind and set her focus on the rest of the conversation. Do you have one for in the morning? No, but if you want, you can write one and teach it to us so that way we will have one for the morning as well, suggested Lacey. Do you want me to do that now or in the morning? Now is fine, I guess, and then we can try it out in the morning all together. All right, I will be back in a few minutes. I'm going to go write it now, Tahra replied, standing up. At the same time, on the road, Beth was getting tired, so she decided to find a nearby hotel. Beth wondered if Jennifer and the rest of them finished cleaning up the ink yet. Beth sat down on a chair in the hotel room. She looked out the window at the sunset. I wonder what's happening back home. Where could Tahra be? Thought Beth out loud. More than anything, Beth wished to be home. It would have been much faster if she had taken a plane, but she was more than terrified of heights. She once flew when she was a little girl, and it was the worst experience ever. They even had to drive home from that trip, and it was a long drive all the way from Oregon, which is where some of their family lives. Meanwhile, up in the helicopter with Marietta, Kate was still answering questions about Tahra. I think we know enough about Tahra. As soon as we get back to the station, I will organize a search party, offered Marietta helpfully. Kate smiled and said, That would be wonderful, thank you. Then in her head, Kate thought, Miss Sarah was right. We should have called and requested to speak to the chief police officer. If we would have done that, a search party would have been sent out much sooner, and it is a possibility that Tahra could be home right now. I wish I took Miss Sarah's advice, but I didn't. Now I feel like an idiot. What if Tahra is never found, and it's all my fault because we never called and asked to speak with the head of police? You're welcome, Kathleen. Kate was about to correct her, but she noticed her mistake and stated, Sorry, I mean Kate. Sorry I keep calling you Kathleen. It's just that I knew a baby when she was born named Kathleen, and now she is your age. You really remind me of her in appearance, as if you are twins, so forgive me for mixing your name up. It's all right. I don't mind, and I of course forgive you. I always will. I hope so, she almost whispered, and once again, a hint of tears sparkled in her eyes, but never slipped free. All of a sudden, the north flame doubled its size and spread out in all directions. Marietta quickly wrote the update down in her notebook. Here, Kate, go announce this update over the communication device. I have to call for more help. Kate finished making the announcement and turned back towards Marietta. What do you mean unavailable? Where are they all? Whatever, bye. Marietta slammed the special mobile flip phone down. What's wrong? Questioned Kate. She took a deep breath to calm herself before answering. All of the fighter fighters, including planes and helicopters, are not there. This fire is our battle alone. Where did you ask for help? Nashville. Anytime we need help, we call them. But all of their firefighting equipment is out somewhere else, oddly. Of course, it just happened to be the time we need them the most. Why don't you try another town? Suggested Kate. This fire is not a house fire. Only certain towns have firefighting planes and helicopters. The nearest would be Washington, D.C. That far? Exclaimed Kate, shocked. Yes, that is why it is our battle alone. We could have fire trucks help, Kate suggested, still having hope. There is no fire hydrant near, and their water is too small of an amount. If pouring rain can't put out the fire, how can a fire truck possibly help? Marietta replied.